Ever get sucked into those shows? You know, the ones with the alternate timelines? Like, you're binge watching and suddenly it's 3 a.m. and you're wondering how a fictional world could be so gripping.
It's more than just fiction, though, isn't it?
That's what this episode of the Technomage really made me think about.
Oh, yeah.
They're talking about shows like For All Mankind, you know, the one where the space race never ended, and The Man in the High Castle, the one with the Nazis.
Right, right.
And they're saying our fascination with these alternate histories, it's not just about liking a good story.
It's about us, isn't it?
Exactly. They call it confronting our present anxieties.
Interesting.
Like The Man in the High Castle with that whole Nazi-occupied America thing. Pretty scary stuff, especially these days, wouldn't you say?
It really gets under your skin, makes you think about what could have been.
Right, and that's what the Technomage is getting at. It's not escapism, it's more like looking in a funhouse mirror.
Okay, I see what you mean.
It's distorted, but it reflects our own anxieties back at us.
So we're facing those what-ifs head-on.
Exactly, but in a safe space, a fictional world where we can process those fears without, well, you know, actually living through them.
It's a way to unpack those anxieties, explore them in a way that's engaging, even entertaining.
Exactly. So we're not just passive viewers, we're actively engaging with these alternate timelines.
And maybe, just maybe, learning something about ourselves in the process.
Okay, so we've established that these alternate timelines, they're tacking into something deeper. But it's not all doom and gloom, is it? I mean, For All Mankind is pretty optimistic, wouldn't you say?
That's the thing with this genre. You've got the whole spectrum, from hopeful to, yeah, downright terrifying.
And each one serves a purpose.
Exactly. For all mankind, it gives you this sense of hope. You know, like we could have done it. We could have been so much more.
It's like a glimpse into a better future, if only.
Precisely. It's a reminder that a better future is possible.
But then you've got shows like The Man in the High Castle, like a warning sign.
No, absolutely.
Wow.
Like, hey, pay attention. Things could go very, very wrong.
Our choices, right? They have consequences.
Exactly. Both big and small.
And sometimes seeing those consequences played out, even in fiction, it can be a wake-up call.
A double-edged sword, then. Exploring our hopes and our fears for the future.
That's the sweet spot for these alternate histories, the ones that make you think, wow, that could really happen. And then you're left thinking about it long after the episode's over.
Right. That's the sign of a truly compelling story, one that stays with you.
It's like these creators are holding up a magnifying glass to human nature, both the good and the bad.
What's fascinating is how these shows highlight the ripple effect of our choices. For All Mankind, for instance, it's not just about a continued space race. It's about how that ambition transforms society.
They really leaned into the social advancements, didn't they? It's like by pushing the boundaries in space, they accidentally nudged forward social progress, too.
Exactly. It makes you wonder if our real-world priorities have been a bit misplaced.
Versus the bleak alternate reality of The Man in the High Castle. I read somewhere that the creator of that show actually got the idea from asking, what if the Axis powers had won World War II? Talk about a chilling thought experiment.
And it speaks to the power of alternate histories to make us confront those uncomfortable possibilities.
It's one thing to read about the consequences of, say, a totalitarian regime in a history book. It's quite another to see it brought to life with such detail and emotional depth.
It's like that quote, "Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it." Except here, we're actively imagining those potential repeats to make sure they stay firmly in the realm of fiction.
Though sometimes the lines between fiction and reality can feel eerily blurry.
The Technomage actually argues that's where the real power of these stories lies.
How so?
Well, think about it. When we watch a show like For All Mankind, and we see a world where climate change is tackled head-on because of the global cooperation sparked by the space race, it makes our current reality seem that much more inadequate.
Like we're failing to live up to our potential.
Exactly. It forces us to ask ourselves, why not us? Why not now?
So these stories aren't just escapism, they're a call to action.
In a way, yes. They highlight what we could achieve, what we should avoid, and ultimately they remind us that we have the power to shape our own destiny. Just like those characters on screen, we have choices to make, and those choices have consequences. The question is, what kind of future do we want to create?
It's like by watching these shows, we get to play with the butterfly effect, right? One tiny change rippling out to change the course of history.
Absolutely, and it makes you wonder about the big what-ifs in our own past, doesn't it?
The ones that could have landed us in a very different present.
Precisely like in For All Mankind, that single decision to keep funding NASA, It didn't just impact space exploration, it transformed society as a whole.
Oh, totally. They really dove into that, how it changed everything from gender roles to environmental policies.
Right, like that scene where they show the first all-female astronaut crew walking on the moon in the 80s.
Uh-huh.
I mean, talk about a powerful image.
It makes you wonder if our priorities here in the real world have been a little, off kilter.
And then you have the man in the high castle, which is like the flip side of that coin.
Oh, yeah, the be careful what you wish for version of history.
Exactly. It's a stark reminder that progress isn't guaranteed.
And that sometimes taking a different path can lead to some very dark places.
It's like that old saying, those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. But with alternate histories, we get to explore those potential repeats in a safe, fictional space.
It's kind of like a vaccination against repeating the mistakes of the past, wouldn't you say?
In a way, yeah. But confronting these possibilities head on, even if they're just fictional, we arm ourselves with the knowledge and awareness to prevent them from becoming our reality.
So it's not just about entertainment, it's about education too.
Absolutely. And the Technomage makes an interesting point about that.
What's that?
They argue that the most impactful alternate histories are the ones that blur the lines between fiction and reality.
Okay, I can see that. Like when you're so caught up in the story that you start to question your own reality.
Precisely. When it makes you think, wait a minute, could that actually happen? That's when these stories really get under your skin.
And the Technomage argues that's where the real power of these stories lies.
It's like they're holding up a mirror to our own world, highlighting both our potential and our vulnerabilities.
Well, it's not just escapism, it's a call to action.
In a way, yes. It's a reminder that we have the power to shape our own future, to choose the path we want to take, just like those characters on screen.
We're not just passive observers of history, we're active participants in creating it. It's like those shows are giving us a glimpse into parallel universes, right? But what if we could actually explore those possibilities, not just through fiction, but through technology?
And that's where the Technomage brings in a really fascinating angle, AI.
Okay, I'm intrigued, AI. How does that tie into all of this?
Well, think about it like this. We're always searching for solutions to problems, right?
Yeah.
Like trying to find that one missing piece of the puzzle.
That aha moment.
Exactly. And the Technomage compares that search to looking for Waldo.
You mean that guy from the striped shirt?
Exactly. We're scanning this huge picture, this jumble of details, desperately trying to find that one thing that's going to make everything clear.
Okay, I kind of see where you're going with this, but where does AI fit in?
AI gives us the ability to analyze massive amounts of information, run simulations, explore countless possibilities. It's like having a superpowered magnifying glass for our Where's Waldo search.
So instead of just imagining what if, we can actually use AI to model those scenarios and see how things might have played out.
Exactly. Imagine using AI to model the impact of, say, a global pandemic. But with different responses from governments around the world, we could see how different choices might have led to vastly different outcomes.
So we're not just limited to the what ifs of the past. We can use AI to explore the potential what ifs of the future, too.
Precisely. AI gives us a way to test out those different paths, see where they might lead, and hopefully make more informed decisions in the present.
It's like having a crystal ball, but instead of relying on vague predictions, we're using data and algorithms to get a clearer picture of what might be.
And the Technomage argues that this is where AI could be a game changer. It's not just about entertainment or escapism. It's about using technology to learn from the past, navigate the present, and shape a better future.
It's like AI gives us the power to become the architects of our own destiny. No pressure, right?
Well, there's always that element of the unknown. But the more information we have, the better equipped we are to make those tough choices.
Yeah.
And AI gives us access to a whole new level of information.
It's like we're standing at a crossroads in history. With AI, we have the potential to chart a course towards a brighter future, but it all comes down to the choices we make today. It's a lot to think about.
It really is, and that's the beauty of these conversations, isn't it? They spark our curiosity, make us question our assumptions, and hopefully inspire us to create a future that's both hopeful and empowering.
Absolutely. Well, that's it for our deep dive this week. We've journeyed through alternate timelines, explored the complexities of human nature, and even touched on the transformative power of AI. It's been quite a ride.
It has. And as we've learned, the past may be set in stone, but the future is ours to create. So let's make it a good one.
I'm in. And for our listeners, keep those what ifs coming. What alternate timeline would you explore if you had the chance? Until next time, keep questioning, keep imagining, and keep diving deep into the endless possibilities of history, technology, and the human experience.